Hello, Corey Parks here with Hydro Help 911. Another video on how much do helical piers cost. We're going to talk about in this video how much helical piers cost for existing homes and not new construction, because that's a different video, it's a different installation process, and it comes with different cost. So if you're asking how much do helical piers cost for my existing home, let's talk about some of the things that go into what could increase or decrease those costs. As mentioned earlier, new construction, different process, totally different. Secondly, what's the number of piers? How many piers do you need? Do you need 3 to 4 piers, which is average for us? We've also installed up to 20 piers before. What's the weight being supported by those piers? The weight is going to dictate what our torque rating needs to be. The higher our torque rating means the better soil, or if we reach bedrock, that we need. We need load-bearing soil, or what we refer to in the industry as load-bearing strata. That could be the soil, or it could be bedrock. What's the size, thickness, and width, and the condition of your footer? Once we dig that house out, depending on the condition of that footer, could dictate whether the costs go up or whether they stay the same. Unfortunately, we don't have X-ray vision. We wish we did, but we cannot see below the dirt to know how big that footer is. How thick is it? How wide is it? Does it have rebar? Stuff like that. We just don't know. This is not something that we run into often, but it does happen from time to time. If the footer is over 4 feet deep, then it is going to increase the cost, just because the amount of dig out that we have to do to get to the bottom of the footer to be able to install our helical piers. Let's talk about some other options in relation to helical piers, some comparable products, if you will. One of the things that we run into in the greater Charlotte area is companies pushing what they call push piers. Push piers, unfortunately, use the weight of your home to drive a steel rod. So basically, they will attach a bracket to your house and they'll drive a bunch of steel rods, typically about 3 foot long, down into the ground. The thing we don't like about that is it uses the weight of your home to get that rod or that pier down into the ground. Problem is, if your house doesn't weigh enough to get that rod or that pier, that metal post, down to load-bearing strata, then your house is going to eventually settle again in the future. We don't like it. The other thing we don't like about it, and this happens from time to time, is you crack a lot of footers by using the weight of the home. Basically what happens is they push off the house and the house raises up to push that down, and then when you let off the pressure, it settles. So your footer's constantly doing this. It's constantly going up and down, up and down. Even if you can't see it with the naked eye, it has to use the weight of that home to get that rod in the ground. So it needs some type of weight to counteract that. If you talk to people who install push piers, they'll typically tell you this. Some may not, especially if they're still installing push piers, but if you find somebody that used to install push piers that has started installing helicals, they will tell you that helicals is the way to go. Another thing I think that it's important to note is that in the last 4.5 to 5 years, all the structural engineer reports that we have had sent to us or provided to homeowners who provided to us, we have never ever saw push piers recommended. It has only been helical piers. That has been the only recommendation for deep foundation pier supports. You might ask, why would somebody want to get into push piers if they're not good? As with most things in this world, it ties back to money. Push piers you can typically get into for $7,000 to $10,000, which is a very small expense for a business. Helical piers now is a different story. The upfront costs are typically north of $80,000. You have to have a lot heavier machinery. You have to have trucks and trailers that'll pull it. You have to buy a specific drive head. It's a lot more upfront cost that goes into it. So that's why if somebody's trying to sell you on push piers, this is likely the reason. To the point of this video, what does it cost for a helical pier? On average, we charge $1,950 per helical pier. And again, how many piers we need will be dictated on a lot of variables that we discussed earlier. If we install a lot of helical piers, that $1,950 could come down, but that's a good ballpark average for you to use when looking to find out how much helical piers cost. I hope this answers your question. If you have any other questions or need anything, we offer free consultations. Feel free to reach out to us at 704-813-9554. You can call or text that number, or you can find us on all of our social media, our website, or our YouTube channel. Y'all have a great day.